Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qala Allahu tabaraka wa ta'ala fil Qur'anil Kareem, inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Alhamdulillah, Allahu Jalla wa Ala has blessed us once again. We are in the month of Muharram, one of the greatest months in the year. This is the favor of Allah Jalla wa Ala upon us that He has allowed us to be in this month. And in the month of Muharram, we have the day of Ashura. And last week I talked regarding Ashura, the events which happened, the things which took place on the day of Ashura. You know, on the day of Ashura, from the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, we know very clearly that the Jewish community, they used to fast on the day of Ashura. हम जानते हैं कि हदीसों से साबित है कि ये जो यहूदी थे, ये अशूरा के दिन रोज़ा रखते थे. और इनसे कहा गया कि आप रोज़ा क्यों रखते हैं? ये कहते हैं कि इसकी वजह यह है कि सैयदना मूसा अलैहिस्सलाम को फिरऔन से छुटकारा 10 मुहर्रम के दिन चूँकि हुआ, इस दिन की इज्जत की वजह से और इसका एहतराम करने की वजह से इस दिन के ऊपर हम रोज़ा रखते हैं. तो मेरे आका सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने कहा कि हम मूसा पर ज़्यादा हक रखते हैं. The Prophet सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम said that we have more right over Musa. These people are fasting on the day of Muharram, the 10th of Muharram, the day of Ashura. The Prophet ﷺ said that we have more right over Musa. How do we have more right over Musa? You know, Rasulullah ﷺ, he would call Sayyidina Musa ﷺ his brother. This is from the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ said that we will also fast on the 10th of Muharram, but we will fast the day with it. We will either fast the 9th or the 10th, or we will either fast the 10th or the 11th. So the Prophet ﷺ would fast the 10th of the 11th or the 9th of the 10th. He would join a day with it, just so that we don't have that similarity with the Jewish community. So you know, this day, if you fast on the day of Ashura, there are many benefits in this. जो अशूरा के दिन रोजा रखता है, मेरे आका सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने इरशाद फरमाया कि अल्लाह जल्ला व अला उसके पिछले साल के गुनाहों को मिटा देता है और जो आने वाला साल है उसके गुनाहों को भी मिटा देता है. ये अशूरा का रोजा है. This is why we should fast on the day of Ashura. And you know, on the day of Ashura, like I mentioned last week, there are many other events which took place. The main event which I want to discuss today is the martyrdom of Sayyidina Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. On the 10th of Muharram, Sayyidina Imam Hussain, for the honor of the religion of his father, for the honor of the religion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the respect of the religion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he went into the plains of Karbala. On this day, Sayyidina Imam Hussain was martyred on the 10th of Muharram. And you know, he had 87 people with him. Imam Hussain had 87 people with him. And in the opposition, there was 22,000 people. Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu had 87 people with him. And in the opposition, there was 22,000 people. But Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, look at his courage, look at his bravery, look at the courage and the bravery of Rasulullah. And you know, I will tell you why he has this bravery. Inshallah, in light of the books of hadith, I will mention to you how he got this courage, how he got this bravery. So you know, regarding Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was born on 3rd Hijri. Imam Hussain ki wiladat 3 Hijri mein hui. This is when Imam Hussain was born. And he was 15 years old when Rasulullah passed away. You know, when we study the books of hadith, and we study usul hadith. In usul hadith, the scholars, they have a difference of opinion whether a child can narrate hadith or not. Some scholars say he can, some scholars say he cannot. Them scholars who say that a child can narrate hadith, they use Imam Hussain as the proof. They say he was a young child, he was only 15 years old when Rasulullah passed away, but he narrates hadiths. So from this they prove that a child who's intellectual, who's wise, he can narrate hadiths. So this is the status of Imam Hussain. He was 15 years old when Rasulullah passed away. And Rasulullah did something called tahmeek when Imam Hussain was born. What is tahmeek? Tahmeek क्या होती है? tahmeek होती है कि जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, आप खजूर लें और खजूर को आप उसके मुंह में डालें. इसको हम tahmeek कहते हैं. और ये मेरे आका की सुन्नत है. और मेरे आका ने जब इमाम हुसैन की विलादत हुई तो मेरे आका सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने एक खजूर को इमाम हुसैन के मुंह में डाला था. ये tahmeek की थी. And you know, this tahmeek, modern day science has proven this. You know, if you go to hospitals today, many of you will know this. You know, sometimes when children are born, they are born with low sugar levels. So what do the doctors do? The doctors, they put a gel drop in their mouth. Those of you who will know this, the doctors, they put a gel drop in the child. Why? Because it's born with a low sugar level. So in order to save him from any harm to him, they put a gel drop in his mouth. And it contains sugar in it. So you know, because of this, They are doing this now. The hospitals are doing this now. But Rasulullah told us to do this 1400 years ago. He told us that when a child is born, what do? You place a date in his mouth. या आज के जो अस्पताल हैं उनमें जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, अगर उसके शुगर लेवल कम हो तो डॉक्टर क्या करते हैं, उसके मुंह में जेल ड्रॉप डालते हैं, ताकि इस जेल ड्रॉप की वजह से जो उसकी शुगर लेवल है जो कम है, उसके वजह से उसका नुकसान ना हो। नुकसान को बचाने के लिए, नुकसान से बचने के लिए उसके मुंह में जेल ड्रॉप डालते हैं। मैंने कहा कि अस्पताल आज कर रहे हैं, अस्पताल आज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इमाम हुसैन की विलादत जब हुई थी उस वक्त मेरे आका उनके मुंह में खजूर डाल रहे थे, तहमीद कर रहे थे। The doctors and hospitals are realizing today, and Rasulullah did this 1400 years ago. So this is tahmeed. And then when Imam Hussain was born, Sayyidina Maulana Ali karamallahu wajhahu al-kareem, he brought Imam Hussain to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I want to name him Harb. And in the Arabic language, the word Harb, it means battle. It means war. The Prophet ﷺ looked at Sayyidina Maulana Ali, and then he looked at Imam Hussain, and he said to Sayyidina Maulana Ali that look at how beautiful Hussain is, and you want to name him Harb? He said he will be a warrior, he will be a fighter, he will be a mujahid, he will be a fighter in the way of Allah. So the Prophet ﷺ said that look at how beautiful he is, and you want to name him Harb? No, don't name him Harb, name him Hussain. जब इमाम हुसैन को सैयदना अली ने रसूलुल्लाह की बारगाह में पेश किया और कहा या रसूलुल्लाह मैं इनका नाम हर्ब रखना चाहता हूँ, तो मेरे आका ने इमाम हुसैन को देखा और कहा कि ये कितने खूबसूरत हैं, और ए अली तू इसका नाम हर्ब रखना चाहता है, इसका नाम हर्ब ना रख, हुसैन रख। और हुसैन का क्या मतलब होता है? हुसैन होता है छोटा खूबसूरत, जो छोटा होता है, जो खूबसूरती वाला होता है उसको हम हुसैन कहते हैं। So इमाम हुसैन's name, it means the little handsome one, the little beautiful one. And there are many hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ. The names Hassan and Hussein, there was no one who had these names before them. These names were hidden, and it was Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein who had these names. They were unique names, and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein had these names because Allah kept them hidden, because He knew that the grandchildren of Rasulullah would have these names. So this is the name of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. And Rasulullah, he had a connection with them. He had a lot of connection with them. He had a lot of love for them. The Prophet ﷺ one day had Imam Hussain on his chest. And Imam Hussain was climbing the chest of Rasulullah. Then he went onto the shoulders of Rasulullah ﷺ. When he went onto the shoulders of Rasulullah, the Prophet ﷺ, he made a dua. He said, Oh Allah, I love them. You love them as well. मेरे आका ने दुआ की, क्या कहा कि ए अल्लाह मैं हसन और हुसैन से प्यार करता हूँ, तू भी इनसे प्यार कर। ये मेरे आका की दुआ है. This was the dua Rasulullah made, that I love them. Oh Allah, you love them as well. And there's another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, they came into the masjid. They were wearing red clothes. They were at the back of the masjid, and they were playing at the back of the masjid. Then what happened? Then they came at the front of the masjid, and Rasulullah at that time was delivering a sermon, a khutbah. He was delivering a khutbah. When Rasulullah seen that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain have come, what did Rasulullah do? Rasulullah came down from the minbar. He came down from the pulpit, and he went to Imam Hussain and Imam Hassan, and he picked them up. And he said that I couldn't help myself but to come down. I couldn't help myself but to come down and hug them. This was how much love Rasulullah. मेरे आका मिंबर पर थे, खुतबा दे रहे थे. इमाम हसन मस्जिद में आते हैं, इमाम हुसैन मस्जिद में आते हैं, मस्जिद के पीछे हैं, फिर आगे आते हैं. खुतबे के दौरान मेरे आका मिंबर से उतरते हैं, इमाम हसन और इमाम हुसैन को उठाते हैं और कहते हैं कि मेरा जी चाहता था कि मैं इनको अपने सीने से लगाऊं. This was the look Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had for Imam Hussain and Imam Hassan. And they were somebody, subhanallah, Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Sharah Bukhari. If you want to understand Bukhari, you need to go to the door of Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. He's a great scholar, a great Shafi scholar. Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he mentioned that Rasulullah, he had the characteristic, the sifat, that when he would look at people, just by looking at them, he would change their lives. Not a modern day Maulvi is not saying this. A scholar from our time is not saying this. Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani is saying this. That Rasulullah, he had this attribute that when he would look at people, just by looking at them, he was able to change their lives. And so because of this, Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, she brought Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain in the court of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, bless them. Ya Rasulullah, bless them. So the Prophet ﷺ said that Hassan, I am blessing him with my awe and with my leadership. And Hussain, I am giving him courage and generosity and bravery. Now look at this, this is very important for us. Why did Rasulullah give Imam Hussain awe and leadership? He could have given him anything. He could have given him anything. Why did he give him leadership and awe? And why did the Prophet ﷺ give Imam Hussain courage, bravery and generosity? He could have given him anything. The scholars say the reason for this was because Rasulullah knew what was going to happen in the future. You know, after the death, the passing of Sayyidina Maulana Ali, you know, the Muslims, they were divided. Did you know this? The Muslims were divided. One group was with Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And remember, we need to make this clear, we respect Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. One group was with Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And the other group was with Maulana Ali. And there was a split amongst the Muslims. And what did Imam Hussain do? Imam Hussain, when he became in charge, he was in charge for 6 months. After the 6 months, he made Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah in charge. And because of this, this caused unity between the Muslims. So look at this quality of leadership Imam Hussain had. He gave his leadership up so that Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah could be the leader. And by doing this, he united the Muslims. He made the Muslims come together. And that's why Rasulullah said that this son, Hussain of mine, he's a Sayyid. मेरे आका ये हदीस अबू दाऊद शरीफ में है, मेरे आका सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने इरशाद फरमाया कि जो मेरा बेटा हसन है ये सैयद है और इसकी वजह से मुसलमानों के दो गिरोह उनके दरमियान इत्तेहाद होगा, वो एक दूसरे से मिलेंगे, जमा होंगे, इत्तेहाद होगा। देखिए मेरे आका ने पहले से बता दिया था। फिर क्या हुआ? इमाम हसन ने जब अपनी दौर और अपनी लीडरशिप को सैयदना अमीर मुआविया को दिया, इसकी वजह से सैयदना अमीर मुआविया रज़ियल्लाहु ताला अन्हु का ग्रोह और मौला अली का ग्रोह, उन दोनों में से हर एक जमात एक दूसरे से जमा होगी, इत्तेहाद पैदा हो गया। किसकी वजह से? इमाम हसन की वजह से। So this is what Imam Hassan status. And then Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu, what did Rasulullah give to him? He gave him courage, he gave him bravery. I know it was needed because Rasulullah knew that he would have to leave Madinatul Munawwara, he would have to go to Makkah, then he would have to go to Kufa, and then he would be stopped in a place called Karbala. Rasulullah knew this, and because of this Rasulullah knew that the people will be against him. So that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him courage, and he gave him strength and bravery, and he gave him generosity so that he was able to stand up against the enemies of Islam. This is the reason why Imam Hussain was blessed with this. This was the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he didn't give up. He didn't lose his hawsala. He didn't become less in his courage. He continued to have his courage. His iman was very strong. And that's why when Yazid was in front of him, 87 people, imagine this, 87 people. And on the other side, 22,000 people. But Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu did not give up. His courage and his bravery did not get weak. This was the status of Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu. I know Rasulullah himself would feed Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. Did you know this? With his own hands. There's a very famous hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to the house of Sayyidina Maulana Ali. And when he came to the house of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Imam Hussain and Hassan was sleeping, and Sayyidina Ali was sleeping as well. Then it was night time. So Sayyidina Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, they got up. And they said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we want some milk. So what did the Prophet do? He checked in the house and there was no milk. So he went into the garden and he took milk out of the goat with his own hands. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he took the milk out of the goat with his own hands, he gave that to Sayyidina Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. He gave it with his own hands. And then Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it seems as if you loved them the most. It seems as if you love Hassan and Hussain the most, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, you know why I love them so much? Do you know why I love Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain so much? The reason why I love them so much is because, oh Fatima, me, Hassan, Hussain, and you, we will be together on the day of judgment. That's why I love them so much. This was why Rasulullah loved them so much, because they will be together on the day of judgment. So this was the love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. And there's another hadith, a beautiful hadith. You know, Sayyidina, subhanallah, the Sayyidina Imam Hussain was on the shoulders of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the Sahaba seen, there are different riwayat. According to one narration, it was Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. They seen that Imam Hussain was on the shoulders of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they said that, oh Hussain, how beautiful is your ride. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, oh Sahaba, how beautiful is the rider. You are saying how beautiful is the ride, and I am saying how beautiful is the one who is riding. And who was riding? Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So this was the look. This is a very important message for our elders especially. If your grandchildren, if your children, you need to have a connection with the children. You need to have a connection with the youth, with the young generation. And this is proven from the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He himself brought up Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. He himself brought his children up. He didn't leave the responsibility to someone else to do. He himself was there in their lives. So that's why it's very important. You need to have a connection with the youngsters, with the youth. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, they would play with their children. The Sahaba, almost all of the Sahaba, they would play with their children. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was once in his house and he was playing with his children. And one of his children were on his shoulders. And a person came, he was an amil. In the books of fiqh, if you look in Kitab al-Zakat, what's an amil? An amil is someone who is responsible for collecting the zakat. So there was an amil and he came to the house of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And he seen that Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu has his child on his shoulders. So he said that, "Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, I have so many children and I have never even moved one of them, and you've got him on your shoulders." Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, what did he say to him? He said to him that, you're an amil, you collect zakat. From now on, you're not worthy of this position. Resign from this position. Give this position up. If you cannot be merciful to your children, then you are not worthy of collecting zakat from people. So from this, we understand the Sahaba alayhim ridwan, they had a connection with the children, with the youngsters, with the youth. So this is very important that we build a connection. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would play with his grandchildren. He would play with his grandchildren, so that's why build a connection. Them people who say that, I'm an old person, I'm a grandfather, and if someone sees me playing with my grandchild, they will look at me with nazare hakarat. They will look at me and think that, what's this guy doing? He's old and he's playing with his grandchildren. Or I'm a father and people will say to me, why is he playing with his grandchildren? Why is he playing with his children? People will say, why is he doing this? If you think like this, then this is against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. If you think that your respect will get lowered just because you're playing with children, or just because you're playing with your own children, if you think this, then this is jahilana, this is jahalat, this is ignorance. You should never think like this. Because playing with children, this was something Rasulullah did. Having a connection with the youngsters, with the youth, this was something Rasulullah did, and this was something which our awliya did. So I say to you, remember what Imam Hussain did for us. Remember those sacrifices they made for us. Remember, if they did not make the sacrifice, then me and you would not probably be reading the kalma today. We are blessed with the kalma. One reason for this is because of the sacrifice of Imam Hussain. And the world remembers Imam Hussain, but no one remembers Yazid. Kalandre Lahoi, Alama, Muhammad Alama Iqbal alayhi rahmah, what does he say? He says, Qatle Hussain, asal mein marde Yazid hai. Islam zinda hota hai har pe bala ke baad. And this is the reality. When Imam Hussain was martyred, it was actually Yazid who was wiped out forever. No one remembers Yazid, but every person, Imam Hussain gave his life for, but he lives in our hearts. He lives in our hearts. This is the reality. So that's why remember the sacrifices they made. Remember what they did for us. If it wasn't for Khaja Gharib Nawaz Moinuddin Chishti Ajmeri, if it was not for Baba Fariduddin Gande Shakar, if it was not for Khaja Nizamuddin Mahbub Ilahi, if it was not for Banda Ghaisud, if it was not for these awliya, if it was not for Ala Hazrat, if it was not for these mashayikh, then we would not probably be reading the kalma today. We have been blessed with the kalima because they gave sacrifices. They gave their beloveds up. They gave the things which they wanted up. And because of that, we are able to say with so much pride that we are Muslims. We walk around and we say we are Muslims. And them people who say it's hard for us to act on our religion, the answer to this is, there may be restrictions. There's no doubt in that. But it's not hard for you to act upon your religion. It's been made very easy for us. Why? Because they gave their sacrifices. And this is the reality. They did everything. But what have we done? We have done nothing. So that's why, at least learn the life of Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. At least remember the sacrifices of Imam Hussain. Remember what they did for us. They gave their lives up for us. And so that we can read the kalima, so that a youngster, a child who is born in your house, so that he can utter the kalima, so that he can read the kalima, for that they gave their lives up. They gave everything up just so that me and you could act upon Islam. So this is why always remember, them people who forget the ones who did favors upon them, them people will always have a bad ending. We do not remember the people who have blessed us. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the one who does not thank the people has not thanked Allah. This hadith is in Sunan Abi Dawud. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the one who does not thank the people has not thanked Allah. So if you want to really thank Allah, then you need to remember the people, the muhsins, them people who did ihsan on you, them people who blessed you, who were there for you, who favored you. You need to remember them. By remembering them and talking about the favors they did upon you, then you are actually thanking Allah for this. You're actually doing the shukr of Allah. May Allah Jalla wa Ala give us the ability to have true love for the Ahl Bayt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to stick on their teachings, to give us the right aqaid on nazariyat. This is a very dangerous time. People have wrong opinions, wrong aqaid. May Allah Jalla wa Ala give us the right aqaid, the right beliefs, the right nazariyat. May Allah Jalla wa Ala grant us true love for the Ahl Bayt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and grant us the ability to spread the message of Islam on. Wa la akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.